Welcome back, friends. Today is the day that we've been waiting on. We're going to do our very first extraction. It looks like we're going to end up with just a couple deep frames to extract. I didn't want to take a lot of resources out of some of those hives, but there was one hive that's really going crazy, and so we felt pretty comfortable taking some resources from that. And then we're going to have 14 mediums to extract. I waited another, I think, 9 to 10 days on some of those medium supers out there, just because I wanted to give them a chance to cap that honey they had out there, but they really haven't made much progress on that. I'm not really sure why. So we're just going to leave those out there for right now, and we're going to extract what we have and just be happy with it. Like I said, we didn't expect to have any. So this is a kind of pleasant surprise. Plus, we get to dip our toes into this extraction process and see what works and see what's not going to work. So next year, when we have much more to do, we'll be a lot more efficient with it. So let's get started on this, and we'll show you kind of step by step what we're doing. Okay, here's our super, and those deeps have been dripping down on there, so we got lots of honey going on. Now, before I started, I let this stuff sit in here for a couple hours, and then I tested it for moisture with our refractometer. And we got, out of this particular super, I tested 4 frames. 3 of them tested between 16.5 and 15, but one, this one right back here, tested right at 19. So just to let you know, they don't necessarily all read the same, so it's not a bad idea to check a few of them. The other thing is, when you're going to do your test, make sure that your supers and your refractometer are approximately the same temperature, and you'll get you a better reading. So let's get on with the show. Okay, Dino's going to do the decapping honors here, since I did some at his house a couple weeks ago. We're going to see just how well my little decapping tub works. Looks like we're going to have 14 of these mediums and 2 deeps. I left some of the frames in the hive because they had not capped those. We're not really sure how we're going to manage that just yet, but for today, it's 100 degrees outside. I wasn't going to make any decisions on that. Now that's what it's supposed to look like right there. We're using our high dollar Amazon bread knife. I think it was $10. And if we had all of our frames looking like that, it'd be awesome. It's going to go down in there. Gravity will do its work. I tasted some of this, and I can't put my finger on the taste. It's something that I know, but I can't put my finger on. Alright. Let's slide it in there. The other way.
I think it goes like that.
No, the other way. There you go. And there we are. Our first frame in. Okay, we've got 6 frames in there, and there are some heavy ones in here. We're going to go ahead. Well, we'll show you here. We'll start spinning ratio on this thing. Oh man, big difference when there's frames in there. Ratio is 2.5 to 1. Every turn of the crank puts 2.5 inside. We think this is going to take probably close to 10 minutes. So we'll just keep our plan. You can see we're a little off balance because we do have some heavy ones in there, but that's okay. We'll get through it. Okay, we're letting the last bit of honey drip down into our decapping tub. You can see how much honey we've got down there, which is going to be a few pounds once we get finished. We still have a little bit to drain down there, but overall we're about done. Well, here we are the next morning after our big time extraction we did last night. We ended up with 46 pounds of honey, basically out of one hive. I think there was only one other frame that came out of a different hive. And I got to tell you, we were expecting like maybe 30 or something, but it was an eye-opener. So it's making me think about, okay, what are we going to do with all this honey next year when we're managing more hives? We've got 7 out there. 2 are kind of weak, but I don't intend on managing any more than 7 to 10 hives anyway. But still, even if we only had 5 hives, it's over 200 pounds of honey. We got to figure out what to do with it. Sell it in bulk to somebody or whatever, but I'm doing all this for fun anyway, so we're not trying to make any money. If we can break even or make a couple bucks on selling a little bit of honey, that's fine. I don't care. But the learning process was fun. The experience was fun from the time I pulled the supers, bringing them in here, checking them for moisture content, getting everything set up there in the garage. We're going to need a little bigger air conditioner, I can tell you that. Our procedure, the way we had things set up, worked pretty good, but I did learn something all along the way from the time I picked up the boxes out in the bee yard to bringing them up here on my little trailer behind the lawn tractor. For one thing, if you only have 5 frames in that box, put 5 empty ones in there, because by the time you get up here, those 5 frames are going to fall out and it's going to mess up your comb and everything. So we learned that. As far as during the process, we learned that our little decapping tub, that worked great, but I did make a little bigger mess than I wanted to in some other areas, so I'm going to alleviate that. As far as the extractor worked, well, with no problems really. We just have to work on maybe getting a little better balance sometimes, making sure we've got those heavier frames opposite of each other, but it worked as designed. The ratio on that crank is fine, no fatigue doing that, and we cranked it for 10 minutes just like we did with the automated machine last week and pretty much got the same result. We're going to go by the used restaurant supply place. I've got some ideas in my head about some baking trays and stuff that I could use, maybe just to set the boxes on, the finished frames, things like that, just to make my cleanup a little easier. Once again, I learned a lot this morning from cleaning up. I wasn't in a big hurry. I'm an early riser. I was up about 5:30 and getting things kind of all put away. And let me tell you, get done early. Make sure you're done early. We don't have a honey house or anything. We're having to extract in the garage and up here by the house. So, I had everything cleaned up and out to the bee yard for them to clean up those boxes and those frames, the extractor and everything, but I still had the extractor basket out here and one other item, actually some honey on the table. And 8 o'clock, it was no problem. We had 1 bee, 3 bees, something like that. But at 8:15, it was like the school bell rang and everyone was late for class because it was like, So I had to throw on my bee suit to get those 2 things out to the bee yard. But man, I learned something all along the way, and it was fun. Got to do this with my buddies. We're all new beekeepers. My buddy Ron down the street here, my buddy Dino that I shoot pistols with. He lives about 3 miles, as a crow flies from here. Our honey, we tasted it his honey tastes very similar to mine, just a very slight difference. So it's going to be interesting to see how some of the other beekeepers in the area, their honey tastes too. So we'll see how that works out. So next thing we got to do a little bottling, and we're gonna have to buy some more bottles. I only bought 36 bottles. Got 46 pounds of honey, so got to figure that out too. So hope you enjoyed what we did. I know I didn't do a whole ton of filming during that because, you know, it's kind of straightforward, and I just want to give you a kind of a wrap up on this thing and let you know how it went for us. So if you've got any comments or questions, make sure you leave those down below. Make sure you give us at least one of these things so we can get a couple pennies here and there and buy some more bee equipment, because I think we're going to need some. That's the way it looks. So until next time, you guys be safe, and we'll see you out in the bee yard. Adios.